What's going on, everybody?
Hello, and welcome to, I think
we're calling this Finally Tailored Fridays.
Yes.
I think we're going to start trying to do some hangouts, talk about movies.
Yep.
Just have a show, see what happens.
A lot of fun last week talking DC fandom. So I kidnapped all these people again. And basically was like, hey, come on to a show and let's just do this. And they've assigned over their internal souls, and they're always going to be doing this forever and always on Fridays. So thank you so much, guys.
Anytime.
God, I look so confused, like, oh God, what have I done? We are, of course, guys, let's just go through Paige. Hey, how you going?
Well, you guys didn't kidnap me. I agreed to go. So it's an accepted kidnap, so it's okay. So we won't call it a kidnap. But no, I'm good. I'm happy to talk movie news and about my future husband, Timothy Chalamet, on this lovely Friday night. So, well, Saturday for you guys, but yeah.
Abby and Sam?
Hello.
Hello. I was asked about 15 minutes ago by Abby, hey, you want to join a stream? Little did I know I was going to get kidnapped. So here I am on my own accord. You're welcome. Happy to talk any news you'll want to do. So happy to be here.
For about 30 more minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to leave and actually go see Dune a second time in like literally 20 minutes with some friends.
Oh, so,
yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna hop off early, but yeah.
Nice.
It's good news.
All right. Adam Marisol, how's it
going?
Well,
I have actually kidnapped Adam. He is here, not of his own accord, in Philadelphia. And yes, he is being held in a vice off camera.
And I am personally still coping with the level of controversy that Abby and Sam have already brought to this episode. Calm down and stop it with all of the offensive talk.
Controversial.
I also would like to see Dune a second time, but we'll get to that later.
And Ben, how are you?
Excuse me.
Ben Goddard is
here to
Paul.
be Paul. Ben Goddard is Paul. Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
I got this on Wish.com for $15. This is the most ridiculous purchase I've ever made.
Yes!
Dude, is that real? Is all I'm saying.
This is real. Like,
it looks
I have
real.
actually stabbed myself a few times.
It was either that or a thong made out of graham crackers, right?
Exactly. It was a buy one, get one, Adam, okay? This person who purchased a machete also got.
Well, we've got a few topics we're going to get through before we do start talking about Dune. But to start off, last week, obviously, we had a fairly lengthy conversation about DC Fandome.
Mm-hmm. And you are the resident expert of DC Fandome in this house, because one of us got up at 3 a.m. to watch it, and the other one did not.
Yes, so we are going to talk about DC Fandome because, yes, I am a moron who decided, hey, at 3 a.m. in the morning, I'm going to wake up and do a stream with a whole bunch of people watching this 4-hour event live. I have made worse mistakes. I can't name them off the top of my head, but man, that was a choice because, oh God, did that just go forever.
So what were your overall thoughts?
Okay, overall thoughts was the stuff that they did actually show. So the Batman trailer, the Flash trailer, the quick look at Black Adam, and the, I guess, behind the scenes for Shazam and Aquaman were all really cool. I really enjoyed all of the stuff that they showed, and that was worth it. But my God, this 4-hour event was just filled with filler, and it was just such just.
I was gonna say you named about 6 minutes worth of stuff for waking up at 3 a.m. for 4 hours.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, okay, this was not worth it. It was absolutely not worth the 4-hour event. It just kind of reminded again why Hall H and all those are very much 3 hours max. There is no one who ever goes higher than 3 hours. And this was why. It was because, when you've got the atmosphere and the crowd who are all really excited for literally everything, you can get away with, hey, we're sitting here for 40 minutes listening to people talk about and to say stuff without saying stuff. Whereas in on a digital stream when you're just sitting in with headphones on and you're not really don't have the crowd, don't have the atmosphere. It's just a very long event and it feels its length. But
I think pretty much zero of our predictions on that whole stream.
Oh yeah, we did a 2-hour prediction show and none of it came true. So
I do want to say that Jesse Swift, he said that Netflix show we would get something, and we all said no, and then they did do something. I saw that on Twitter. I just want to shout out Jesse and just say, like, he can say "I told you so" to all of us because we were all like, I don't think so, Jesse.
Yeah, I don't think so, but they did mention it, so that's fair. Did anyone else actually watch the event?
I watched the trailers.
Marisol, you did. Okay.
Yeah, I had it on.
Yeah. Like we both were corresponding about having it streaming. I'm
not going to be as cruel on it as everybody else. Like maybe to what you said, like maybe it didn't need to be 4 hours, but there's a lot of DC what it did highlight for me is that there's a lot of Batman content out there right now. I mean, it really, really, once it was like sandwiched back to back to back to back to back like that, I was like, poof. There's a lot of Batverse content out there right now. And it's really hard to figure out what timeline to pay attention to. I know we have like a kind of like our own multiverse going on with Flash and Flashpoint and shit. But it's a lot when it's packed all back to back like that.
Batman was the MVP of the event, it would seem.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was even before the Batman trailer.
Yeah, that's what people came to see. That was the moneymaker. That's what people came to see. I still think for me as a DC fan who is really big on the movies, but doesn't pay attention to the CW shows, doesn't pay attention to certainly not the video games, doesn't pay attention. It wasn't, to be honest, I felt less filler because like I was learning things about the other corners of the fandom. I was appreciative of like kind of the kind of like, here's the bullet points, here's the spark notes for like what's going on, what's up to date, what's the new things that are happening with whatever it was, Injustice or the video games right now, or what they're really getting to the nitty gritty on with like Batgirl or something like that, like something I just definitely have not seen. And I did appreciate that. Some things last a little longer than they needed to, yeah. But I think on the whole, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to be a nitpicker and complain about DC fandom when they're just giving us, this is what we showed up for. This is what we came for.
But the no Condiment King announcement, which I'm still hoping with.
You have not. I know that hurt. I know that hurt. And it's okay. Just keep.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. We'll hold on to hope.
And no Man of Steel 2 announcement, but whatever.
Yeah. That you got me hyped up with that the other week when we were talking about predictions and no dice, Grandma. That was.
Now imagine Man of Steel 2 with as like a backdoor launch to the Condiment King series at the same time. Can you even imagine, Paige?
It can happen. It's gonna happen. You just jinxed it, so it's gonna happen.
Just imagining Crispin Glover spraying Henry Cavill with mustard right now.
With his mouth open now.
Ben, what did you think of the trailers that they did actually drop?
The Batman one was obviously like the one, and even last night when I saw Dune in IMAX, we saw Eternals, we saw No Way Home, but then like at the end of the Batman one, people clapped after the Batman trailer when you see that, that upside down shot in the fire, and that is like the money shot. But like I'm already like hyped for Batman. This one didn't get me more hyped. It was a good trailer. I'm very excited for the movie. I think Matt Reeves and Robat's Bats is going to kill it. But like this didn't amp me up. Like the second Infinity War trailer was like, holy crap. Like, you just keep going up. But like, I think it's going to be an awesome movie. The Black Adam one, I'm just happy the movie's real. Like The Rock was announced as Black Adam, like longer, like I think there's Schmodown competitors that are younger than The Rock being technically Black Adam. Like I think it was like 2007. I think it was 2007 he was announced as Black Adam. So I'm just glad the movie like actually exists. Same with The Flash, besides Ezra Miller actually being in it.
Two Ezra Millers.
After Malignant, I can't wait for Aquaman 2. Lucy Liu seeing her like the screenshots. So it definitely gave me some good stuff, and I hope the Injustice movie is good. I know, and I'm very excited for season 4 of Young Justice as well, because Injustice, if you guys have never played the video game or read the comics, they're really, really good comics. Like that, like I'm not a big Snyder Cut person, but I feel like that's the story he should be doing is Injustice, because like he doesn't like Superman, so just make Superman evil. Just make Superman a crazy
A lot of the
murderer.
story hinted at Injustice too.
Yeah, it did, and I think it would have worked. I think like that's where the Snyderverse should have gone, and maybe it will. I don't know if they'll give him more money. But Injustice I hope is great. Young Justice season 4, I just watched the first 2 episodes and they're pretty good so far. So that was crazy. Like they're like, oh, here's the Young Justice trailer. Oh, by the way, it's on HBO Max now. It's like, oh okay. But yeah, DC I think has finally found their footing of being like, you know what, we're just gonna make whatever we want in universe and out of universe, DCEU, DC, whatever you want to call it. We're just gonna make good stuff, and I think that they finally found their footing, and it's good. And that's just better content for us. But I'm very glad I didn't watch the 4-hour weird blue screen sphere of like I think what Mr. Sunday Movies is talking about, where it's like they haven't found their Kevin Feige, like the person to announce everything and like talk about everything. They haven't found their like baseball cap blazer wearing guy that like everybody recognizes. But it was overall it was a success. Oh yeah, and I didn't even see the Harley Quinn thing, but I'm very excited for season 3 as well.
Paige?
For me, yeah, kind of that exactly what you said. Like, personally, for me, for the Batman trailer, the first one I think was just so epic. But that last shot that you see in the Batman trailer with like the camera upside down, that was just like beautiful. Like, I can't like it didn't get me more hyped because I liked the first trailer more. But other than that, I completely lost my train of thought. But oh, for me, I need more understanding of the Flash. I have no idea what the hell is going on. I feel like, why is it 2 hours? Well, I know
Flashpoint. It's the Flashpoint story.
Yeah, I guess so. But I will say,
what's worse than having Ezra Miller be the Flash, having fucking 2 Ezra Millers?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what with the crappy haircut? But for me though, personally, I'm glad that DC though has like found their footing in a sense. Like, they're not trying to be the MCU. We don't need another superhero franchise to just be like, all right, everything has to be connected and everything has to flow together. Like, they're just, like you said, Ben, like they're just doing their own thing. And I think that's what they should have been doing from the beginning instead of trying to figure out what they should do. Because it just makes more sense to just give us the content that we want than try to make it all connect, because obviously that was not working for them. But other than that, though, Batman, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Is it March yet?
Abby?
I had a weird thing where even though we talked about it for 4 hours, I did not watch Fandome or the Batman trailer.
That's fair.
I was just like, you know what? I'll wait till I see it in the theater at this point. And I just heard good things. I don't know. But you watched it.
I did watch it. I watched most trailers either like
a normal person.
Yeah, like a normal person, but like on my phone at like the dinner table or something like that. I wasn't like super invested in it, but no, I think the Batman trailer, like echoing what everyone said, it didn't get me more excited for it. I'm already as excited as I'm going to be for it. So I don't think any more marketing could do anything else to me, or seems like a lot of other people as well. I thought the Flash trailer was a little weird because it was a little light on what, substance I felt. It was just like Ezra Miller running around, and then
exactly that's what I'm like. So what's going on?
It was we have Michael Keaton come watch this movie for Michael Keaton,
exactly.
but it's the Flash.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's exactly.
I did watch him like introduce it, which was also the most awkward thing in the world. Like him being like, "We don't have a trailer. Here's some footage. Enjoy."
Like, it was just a trailer.
And I'll see so you and I'll see you at the theater. Or wait, you'll be seeing me. Or like, so it's like, dude, you're trying to repair your very damaged image here. This is not
don't. Yeah, you should be doing anything you can to just seem like a normal and healthy person.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a little awkward. I love the Black Adam stuff though. I think Abby and I are both just big Rock fans. We actually went to Monday Night Raw a couple weeks ago, which is fun, but unrelated. But yeah, that was actually I think what I'm most excited for, only because it's something brand new. Like Batman, we already knew that was going to come. So having the Black Adam stuff is super exciting, I think. The first look was awesome, just the little clip we got. So that's what I'm very excited about. Who knows what that'll turn out to be, how good that will be, but I have high hopes after seeing that. So
yeah. Jumping off the Black Adam stuff, I actually think that what we were talking about last week, where we were really worried, a lot of us were worried about how The Rock playing this villainous character would feel in the movie because of The Rock's image and because he's very much someone who has spent the last decade cultivating a
family image, for lack of better terms.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, a family image. And this trailer showed, oh no, he's throwing all of that away. Like, he doesn't care. Like, he's just like, nope, I'm gonna be a bad guy in this movie, and I'm really excited for that. Like, I think it did a really good job of just showing that, of kind of just calming everyone's nerves of, no, he's a villain. He kills.
You think
people.
So?
Yeah. I thought, I don't know. I think him coming up and literally grabbing someone and just like sucking the soul out of them or something. I was like, okay,
I love it.
I
bet bottom dollar they're like some evil mercenaries or grave robbers or something like that, and he's gonna like have to defend his country, and then like the next movie he's gonna have to fight Shazam over like a misunderstanding or something like that.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Can we talk about how big his muscles are? I didn't think they could get any bigger.
He's insane. Like, they put The Rock in a muscle suit. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. You don't need that.
Yeah.
I really hope you're wrong, Ben. I really hope you're wrong.
I do too. I hope I'm wrong. I want him to go full villain. Like, I love Black Adam, like, as a comic book character. He's great.
I hear you with that totally. But either way, like, their first like footage, their first teaser, they chose to, without context, just show him just straight up murdering the shit out of a dude. Like just
no, he's gonna walk it off. He's cool. He's like a little flesh wound.
Yeah.
And by flesh wound, I mean like he has no flesh.
Yeah, exactly. I think I do hear you. That is a good point. I really do hear you with that. But either way, they're trying to at least out the gate just sell, which is something which I always bring up, Will Smith and Deadshot, which is just like something they did not try to do with Suicide. They made it really clear that like with Deadshot, they were just like, nope, this is going to be the quippy Will Smith. That's what you're coming to see. Like, you're not coming to see Deadshot. You're coming to see Will Smith as Deadshot. This, I felt like I was seeing Black Adam played by The Rock. Like, in like those 60 seconds, not The Rock as Black Adam. Like, so for at least marketing purposes and what the image at least they're trying to push out there with the film, I think they have it right already. But like, that's a really good point to keep in mind, like down the line, what the actual product, what the actual theatrical version will be. Maybe jury's still out on that for sure.
I think you're right. Cause like, if this was like not The Rock, you'd be like, okay, he's a villain for sure. But I think it is just cause like, oh, it's The Rock. He's got his Disney image. He's got like, he's been a good guy. So like, but yeah, that is a really good point, Marisol. It's just like without context, he straight up eviscerated like the first person he saw. Did. So, and
they had the hood on him the whole time. So do you even know it's The Rock unless you know that The Rock is playing him? Like, you can't even tell visually that it's The Rock.
I think they could straddle the line like they do with Loki at this point. Loki has become, just a very beloved anti-hero, for lack of a better term, and I think they're gonna launch into that. They're gonna establish that Black Adam is, not afraid to get his hands dirty. But I think, early on in the first act, he's probably gonna end up, being the lesser of two evils, and people are gonna see him as kind of like a Godzilla figure, which I'd be okay with.
Yeah, and like I'm okay with that, but as long as they go with the lesser of two evils, like it's not like it's not dumbed down version. He's still like a mass murderer.
Well, I think once even he and Shazam end up fighting, they're going to end up coming to some sort of truce with a bigger villain down the line.
That's exactly what it's going to be. Yeah. So it is going to be Godzilla versus Kong. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Just earn it.
Adam versus Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I gotta go, everybody. Peace.
Okay.
Right. See ya. Enjoy it.
Oh, Dune is good.
Yeah.
Just start another
clearly,
riot.
If he thought it was bad, but he's going to go see it a second time,
Yeah.
fair enough.
He's gonna hate watch it
Yeah.
in IMAX.
To be fair, that's
Yeah.
what I do.
He hates it, but he knows Denis will save cinema, so he's going to see it again.
All right, let's move on. Does anyone else have anything they want to add about DC fandom?
No, I think we're good.
I like that they're
Well,
doing that. I wish that more studios were doing like something similar. To
Yeah.
that.
I mean, we get Disney's one in 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Disney are doing theirs in 3
Disney
weeks,
Plus
or something
Day?
like that. Yeah, Disney.
But yeah, like
Plus Days
November
in-
12th or something like that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so we get
So it's not
Disney's one in 3
D23.
weeks.
Yeah, it's Disney Plus Day, whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with you. I wish more studios would do it. So I am glad DC are doing it because it is a lot of fun, and yeah, it's great. All right. Speaking of Disney, this week they announced they were delaying their entire Marvel slate
Hi, Taylor.
by one movie. So, with that,
Taylor's
they
thrilled about it.
delayed. So
I'm so happy that we're never going to see another Marvel film, according to Disney.
yeah, according to Disney, they've delayed every single one of their films from Doctor Strange onwards up one movie, and they canceled 2 of the untitled ones, which mean nothing because they were untitled. So that literally means nothing.
Yep.
What do we think? What do you guys think of the reasoning? Do you think that this was to get away? Do you think this was COVID related? Do you think this was to get away from Batman? What do you think, Paige? I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I think it was those 2 big things. Was they don't want to compete with the Batman movie coming out in March, because I think that's gonna be the next big superhero film that we get, and they definitely don't want to compete with that because it already has so much hype behind it. And with a director like Matt Reeves, like, can you compete with that right now? Probably not. But also too, I think it is COVID related. Like, they want to make the most money possible. I mean, MCU movies, pretty much all of them make $1 billion, and I think they want to try to continue with that. So I think if they're pushing their films out, is kind of, it sucks, but as far as possible, they'll hopefully be able to get their revenue back up. So
Marisol.
Yeah, why do I think that this has something to do with the Scarlett Johansson situation? Like, why do I
probably could?
Why do I still think that they're trying to renegotiate a lot of contracts with this?
I mean,
that's not wrong. That could possibly be.
You know, like, why do they're like, whoa, like, you know, like, let's go back to the drawing board with a couple of things. Like, let's renegotiate a lot, and figure this out, because they still have to, like, tie into what you're saying, like tying into COVID and everything. They still need to figure out this release schedule thing. If they want to get this release schedule right and maximize their bottom line, which, you know, Disney loves doing, you know, they still want, I'm sure if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They'll still try to do this $30 premium, you know, ticket thing. But they really need to, I think they need to go back to the drawing board with this, in terms of how it turns out with the cut for the actors and on the theatrical gross with this kind of thing. I think I'm happy that Scarlett Johansson came forward and you know, shook things up with this, and they're probably going back to the drawing board with a lot of the things. That will be my bet for one of the factors. I think these are all valid, but that would, I think, also be another factor. I don't know at any point since when was Disney ever afraid of Warner Brothers? Ever? I don't think they're going to start right now when they've had 13 years of being a mega successful enterprise, and DC has seesawed like a mother. I don't see any reason why DC or why Marvel should get nervous about it now when they're under the reins of the most powerful entertainment juggernaut on the planet. But yeah, I don't think that any decision Disney's making is out of fear, or out of fear of what. Like, you know, like, there's nothing to be afraid of. I think it's just conniving and just more making sure that they dot their T's and cross their I's, and just make sure that they cover in all the gaps, and cover up anything that could give them some controversy or complications on their bottom line down the road, like rights and cuts for
this
that.
is why she's Lady Justice, and I'm pointing to Ben when I should be pointing to Marisol.
I have my tin hat foil theory that I got shut down.
Starting some conspiracies out here.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling Sony have alluded that they're going to push Spider-Man, and that they're worried about December, and that it's starting to get very packed, and they're wanting to push Spider-Man to next year, and Disney are just kind of giving themselves some breathing room just in case. Because again, Disney don't have any control over whether or not Sony push Spider-Man. But that is 100% Sony's choice, and they have no control. So
when do you think they would move Spider-Man 2 though? Like that, there's no way they would put that in January or February.
No, I think they'll put it into March. I think that it will take Doctor Strange's date.
I think it needs a buffer. I think I was going to say, like, I think Spider-Man and Doctor Strange need a buffer, because I think they're both going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting for the next phase of the Marvel universe. Because Loki was the first step, Spider-Man's the next, and then Doctor Strange, I think, is going to be what opens the floodgates. And I think you need to give the general audience some time to digest that information. And I think the better part of 6 months would be ideal. So I hope the Spider-Man date holds. I take your point, Jacob. I think it's valid. But as a fan, I hope Spider-Man comes out in December so that Doctor Strange has the better part of 6 months before it comes out.
That is also fair, actually. That they've gone, hey, this movie we think will play better if audiences are able to get Spider-Man at home, because if after 3 months by March, if it comes out in December, by March they might not be able to get it to do a rewatch before Doctor Strange comes out. That's fair, actually. But
I just think those two movies. I think those two movies are going to have a lot of synergy as well, because Doctor Strange is in Spider-Man, and we're getting a lot of the Sam Raimi stuff coming back, and then Sam Raimi's directing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So I feel like those films have to have been working together to some extent. So I think if there were only 3 months between them, it might be a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
I agree on that.
I have no thoughts on the matter.
Can you just I didn't even think about it. December is 2 months away. That's mind blowing. We're gonna get this movie in 2 flipping months. That's
exactly
nuts.
2 months. Isn't it coming out December 22nd?
Yep.
December
17th.
17th. Okay.
Yeah. Ben, what are your thoughts?
I think I'm kind of with Marisol on this one. I hadn't even thought of that, but I think it is a really big deal that they need to organize these contracts to include VOD and Disney Plus in them now. And if your biggest A-list star, if you're not willing to pay her, then the trickle down effect is real bad. So I'm very, very glad that ScarJo took a stand about that and made us think about it, because it's a contract. Everyone's well, she already got paid $20 million. That doesn't matter. They told her, we'll pay you $20 million plus a percentage of the box office. Okay, well, if you take a percentage of the box office and 60 million opening weekend on Disney Plus, I should get a piece of that as well, because that would have been box office. And it's, again, this isn't, some random sci-fi movie that she starred in, or, this isn't Red Sparrow. This is Black Widow, part of the MCU. She was in phase 1.
That movie can go to hell, Ben.
Yeah, you're telling me, Adam. You're telling me. My boy, Adam. My boy. But I'm also you know what? Honestly, I'm a little bit of both, where I don't think Marvel's afraid of DC, but I think if they ever would be, it would be Batman returning. Because like I said, just the only thing I have to go on is, just literally the audience reaction last night, and weird thing, if you watch the No Way Home trailer, you see who Spider-Man's lawyer is. You see the face, the arms that come down, and people
shit. I saw your tweet, yeah.
Yeah, I was oh,
I'm gonna message you after this.
You can see his, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But I was oh wow, that's a weird mistake editors have made. You can see it in IMAX crop.
Bigger.
But I don't think they're nervous, but I think if they can avoid going up against Batman, they will, because I feel like that movie is just going to dominate that month. But I also don't think they would worry about we're gonna put if Sony pushes back to January or February, it's the most viewed trailer in like YouTube history. I don't think it's not gonna do bad no matter what month it comes out. Like Black Panther proved that February it's like the
February.
highest. Yeah, February.
Yeah.
Like I think
January month.
January might be the only month that hasn't like had like $1 billion grossing movie in it so far. And
no, I looked this up today. You know what the only month to not have $100 million opening film is? It's
what?
Only month.
Wait,
October.
October. Yeah.
October is the only month to have never had a movie open to 100 million. Yep.
When did Halloween 2018 come out? Because I know
it made 80 something.
Yeah, that was the most, right?
It made 80.
Or did Venom have the
most? It made 79 something.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm going to ask you, what's the title in January that hit 100 million?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Was it Split?
No, American Sniper.
Oh,
God damn it! I was going to say that. I was like,
from memory, I'm pretty sure it's American Sniper. Also, we are joined by the lovely Mara Canopic. Hi, how are you?
Hello, I have fistfuls of cake.
Name of her upcoming album as well.
Oh, I was going to say it's my new Western series. I'm really trying to do like a French New Wave thing, except with Westerns.
I do. Okay, so I am going to have the slight pushback about them being worried about Marvel. About DC and Batman, mostly because they literally just moved Black Panther: Wakanda Forever to a week after Michael Keaton's return as Batman. Like it comes out a week.
That's a Flash movie. That's a Flash movie. That is not Batman.
Yeah,
I know, but it's
and Ezra Miller already does not have the best name in the books right now, so I think they're like, "Well, who cares?"
I know, but that's the movie that has the return of Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck,
and that's also Black.
I feel like you're overhyping that though, as a to the total like movie audience. Like Black Panther versus Michael Keaton.
That's like, the thing. Black Panther outgrossed Infinity War domestically, and this is Doctor Strange. It's like they're not comparable in my book. Like I think Doctor Strange after WandaVision, like, oh, is she more powerful than Doctor Strange? After What If, like, oh, is Doctor Strange Supreme gonna be in that? Like, is that gonna be somewhat canon now? And then obviously, Spider-Man. I think it's gonna be a lot bigger. But like Black Panther is like its own beast, no pun intended.
Mara, what do you think of the changes they made to the Marvel slate being pushed back? Do you think there was any reason why, or what's your theory?
I mean, I'm not necessarily as eager to speculate on the whys, but I honestly think that there's basically no weekend that they could put out a Marvel movie that is good, that's not going to make all the money at this point. Like they have a proven track record. Even movies that quote unquote fail still make all of the money and still had a reason to be made and still are going to get sequels. And it's just never going to stop. It's a machine. So, I mean,
did Captain Marvel come out in February too, or no?
No,
March. I thought that was March. Okay,
yeah.
That was International Women's Day. 2019.
Oh, it
remember
was,
that.
Yes. Abby, what are your thoughts?
Kind of similar to Mara. It's just I hadn't really thought about it related to Sony and like your theory that they're gonna like maybe move No Way Home. That's probably the biggest movie Sony has or will make for the near future, and so I think that they want to make $1 billion, and I could see them moving it if they don't think it's going to do that. But I still think right now it's like really late in the game. But I don't know. I'm just going to repeat what Mara said. I think Marvel are just doing what they want to maximize the $1 billion that they're going to make, as opposed to like a little bit of $1 billion.
That's fair. All right. Does anyone else have any other thoughts on the slate being pushed back? Any other reasons? The only other thing that I find interesting was Guardians wasn't pushed. Everything else was except Guardians.
Really? Coming out in 2023.
Yeah.
Though.
I just want Fantastic Four and Blade news. I want some. Yeah, I'm looking forward to both of those.
Yeah,
I'm very eager for those movies, so give me some info.
I want Blade.
I have a feeling we're going to get Blade announced at the Disney Plus day, and because I think it's going to be more than just because it's basically their Disney investor meeting, like so it's going to be more than just the only Disney Plus stuff. I think they're going to
they announced a lot of stuff last year. Like I still want that Buzz Lightyear movie. What?
Comes out next year. I think we're getting.
Didn't they move that?
No,
I made that up. I made that up.
Okay, fair enough.
I was thinking of a different thing about that movie that I saw, but anyway.
No, that definitely does come out next year. Oh man, June next year is nuts. We go Elvis, Jurassic World Dominion, Lightyear, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, and then whatever Shotgun Wedding is.
What's Elvis? Who's in Elvis?
That is Austin Butler. Yeah, and Tom Hanks, I think. Is in
that's the movie that Australia nearly killed Tom Hanks with.
With COVID, yeah.
Because he was here shooting it and we gave him COVID. So
I thought that was the Finstock Exchange biopic about Craig's little friend.
It should be. It should be.
Wait, it's not.
I'm getting marginally emotional because I just learned in this moment, and I'm trying to process it, that another Transformers movie is coming out.
Well,
yeah, I was about to ask.
Even Capel Jr. directed Creed 2 is directing it.
Yeah, it's
so. Is that supposed to be a good thing for the movie or a terrible thing for him?
That's what I'm thinking.
At least a good paycheck.
Well, no, because Travis Knight did well with Bumblebee, so I like Stephen Capel Jr., so I'm hopeful he might do something. As long as it's like 2 hours instead of 3, that'd be good.
When is it like taking place?
So it is a sequel to Bumblebee.
Oh,
that's what they've said.
That's a good angle to take.
Taking place in the year 1994, a pair of archaeologists from Brooklyn come into an ancient conflict that ties in three factions of the Transformers: Maximals, Predacons, and Terracons.
Damn.
And then Ron Perlman is Optimus Primal, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I was into Beast Wars back in the day.
Beast Wars.
Like the Transformers franchise is an obvious pile of dog shite but like Bumblebee was
awesome.
returned to form. Bumblebee is quite watchable. So as long as it's in that vein and they keep the runtime tight, Stephen Capel Jr. is a good director. I would hope it's
like
decent.
Creed 2 better than Creed, honestly.
Creed 2 is great.
Yeah.
All right.
Compelling villain, Marisol. Compelling villains get me.
It does tie in. Okay, yeah. Creed 2 does tie in that
Rocky 4 director's cut.
No, hey, look, look. The Drogo tie-in is pretty.
15 more minutes of
dope.
Hearts on Fire.
But Rocky, the Cinderella story in the first Creed destroys me, and Rocky's arc in that guts me. Please, we missed out on the best supporting actor win for Stallone with that movie. Man,
the first one. Oh yeah, definitely.
I feel bad for Stallone, but I always
someone's got
feel
an
worse
echo.
for Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo and what?
For losing Best Actor because that was the year Mark Rylance won. So imagine hearing Mark Rylance.
I never even thought of it.
Like you're just like,
he's like, oh.
Oh man,
that is so true.
Yeah,
it's a rough go of it.
That's gotta be tough, man. I do hear the echo too, though.
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from.
I don't know where the echo is coming from.
I can hear too. It's not me though, right? For once, my mic's working.
Yeah, all good. All right, let's go to our next big story, which unfortunately has a bit of a tragedy to it, but the production strike that is going on at the moment. This is a lot more of a complicated story than now, especially after yesterday's news. Taylor, do you want to talk about the story that dropped yesterday?
I mean, I can try. I don't know if I'm the most qualified person to talk about any of this, especially since there's still a lot we don't particularly know at this point. I don't know if anyone here feels more qualified to talk about what happened, but I'm just still personally trying to process Hutchins' death at this point because it just feels like something that where we are with, technology, where we are with being able to film things and add things in post. And just maybe naively thought we would never have an instance like this happen again with gun safety on set. And with there just, from what it sounds like, allegedly, with there being a lot of negligence of safety involved, which makes it even worse. Like, it wasn't just a tragic thing. It was, from the sounds of it, people cutting corners and not doing their jobs and not making sure that safety was the number one priority here. So I'm a little, I think I'm just at the stage of still trying to process exactly what happened. The accounts we're getting from the crew on the set of Rust have been very concerning. Allegedly, there are people who walked off the set the morning of because of safety concerns, and then this tragedy happened on the same day. It's really sad that we lost a cinematographer at all, but we lost someone in such a senseless, stupid way. It's just, we talk a lot about, safety protocols, not even just on Hollywood sets, but on work sets for people who aren't at the top, workplace safety and workplace environments. And the fact that stuff like this has to happen for people to take it seriously is really disturbing. And, like I said, there were reports that there were complaints on set about, gun safety prior to this on this same set, that there were concerns that had been raised. And now someone is dead. And now that, like, it's really tough. It's tough for me to talk about because it just really upsets me, especially, and this is probably going to sound bad, but especially a woman who finally got her opportunity to be a cinematographer on a big set. Yeah. And work this job. Like, it's so upsetting to me. Like, because those jobs are still tough for women to get a lot of the time, to get their opportunities. And does that make the death more tragic? No, but it just upsets me that it was so senseless and that she had to die for something so stupid.
Mara, you were looking like you had points that you wanted to add.
One thing that I'm not very easily triggered by issues regarding gender, but I really was irritated that one of the trade headlines that they were leading with was female crew member, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, number one, she has a name. Number two, she has a technical occupation or a title related to the movie. Why are you leading with her gender? Like, because again, I felt like that was trying to capitalize or indirectly prey on the fact that, generally speaking, even though every life has intrinsically the same, has intrinsically the same value as every other, regardless of what we look like, where we come from, or who we are, that it's more tragic because she was a woman. And I was like, wow, okay, I didn't really like that. It was already sad enough, and now I'm angry.
I was very, very frustrated with a lot of headlines yesterday.
Oh, you were furious.
I was really annoyed, actually, with a lot of headlines of Alec Baldwin shoots crew member. And to me, inherently, this story isn't Alec Baldwin's. It's a crew member was killed because of on-set safety. The fact that, and Alec Baldwin will need to have a lot of therapy and everyone needs to make sure that he is also very much taken care of, because the last time this happened, the actor wasn't and never really recovered and spent his and spent the remainder of his career and life still with this trauma, and because he never was really taken care of hey, I killed someone. Unintentionally as it is, Michael Massey accidentally did murder someone, accidentally killed someone, not murder's the wrong word.
Well,
sorry.
but this is the problem. Yeah. Like, this is a whole other tangent I could go on. The integrity of journalism in this country is a fucking garbage fire at the moment. But it's just the way that this is being written about. They're not centering it on her. And if they are, they're not using her name and her actual profession. But most people are saying, oh, Alec Baldwin is the center of this story. He killed someone, not there was an on-set incident or not all he was involved with. They're putting the onus on him, and his photo is on all of the articles, and it's just like, it's so upsetting.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much that's upsetting about this.
Like, there's so little we don't know. Like, I don't know who was attending safety meetings. I don't know who the armorer was. I don't know what role anybody had. I don't know anyone's culpability. Yeah. So anyone presuming specifically someone as a linchpin or like a single point failure of fault, it could have been a whole mishmash of indirect negligence on the part of a lot of people. It could have been really specific pointed negligence on the part of one or more people. We don't know. So I feel really bad because no matter who you're blaming or implying has blame from a culpability standpoint, you don't know. None of us know. Yeah. I don't even think the investigators know yet. Like, it's emerging. We can just feel a loss, and we don't have to worry about blaming just yet.
Exactly. And even if you're going to, like, to points that the both of you were saying, it starts with, if you're really going to try to do that and like be like, who is responsible for this? It starts with a whole list of people before the gun is put in Alec Baldwin's hands. Like, you know, like it starts with dozens of people those are their several jobs, those are their jobs to put the safety precautions in line before it even gets to then the talent's hands to handle on the set, like when you're filming something. So like, yeah, it's just whatever is the most sensational way to sell the story so that you can, you know, get the most people going, oh my God. And, you know, and get the most people clicking on something and talking about it, using the buzzwords as incorrect as they may be, you know, that's sensational journalism at its worst.
I think as long as the focus should be on the person who lost her life. And I think that's where we can direct a lot of our focus, because none of us can really judge who's to blame as of yet, but we can all focus on the thing that matters most, and the fact that she's gone. And I think that's what we all take away from Brandon Lee. And I think, you know, when actual stunt performers' deaths come to light, which doesn't get talked about enough, and this is not a stunt death, completely different, but at the same time, there are on-set tragedies quite often that we don't talk about at all. And this woman didn't deserve to lose her life, and everyone can point the blame, but none of us were there. We just know she's gone. And I think we're all going to learn a lot more over the next few months.
Mm-hmm. Abby?
Yeah. I don't know. This is something that hits a little bit too close to home just because of there was an incident last year. Me and Sam are film students, and he had an injury on set with a jib that ended up, he had a thing with his hand and had to have surgery. And it was a very traumatic experience for a lot of people involved. And so just the first thing, just what Marisol was saying is like, there was so many things that led to that moment. It's that sets can be unsafe, and it comes down to the proper way to handle things, and also being able to check if you have a live gun with ammo as opposed to a prop gun. And I am not very knowledgeable on this because I did not read the articles, but I saw a couple of headlines that alluded to the fact that it had something to do with like union workers leaving and then leaving non-union workers in charge. And so that just stresses me out and makes me sad that because of like a domino effect of things with the industry right now, it led to a situation like this. So.
Yeah, and this is part of. So Ben, sorry, I haven't gone to you yet.
Oh no, just it's echoing what everybody else said. It's so unfortunate that we've literally had this exact same example happen in such like a publicized tragedy. This isn't like on a tiny set somewhere in Hollywood, this happened one time, or they were filming in Idaho and this happened to my friend's cousin's sister's brother. No, this happened to the son of like one of the most legendary Hollywood icons in the history of film. And it's like such a marked tragedy that like, oh, have like literally in the same sentence, if you ever talk about, oh, have you seen The Crow? Oh, it's such a tragedy. Brandon Lee died during filming, like with a prop gun set misfire. Like that's like those sentences almost go hand in hand. And it's frustrating that it's like such a preventable tragedy. Like this wasn't during filming, like they weren't filming a scene and it wasn't like another actor or something like, oh, we went through all the safety checks and something just went wrong. No, it's just like there was non-union people there, or like I honestly I've read a few articles and just like there's so much information coming out of like people walked off, we were in bad hotels, there was, you know, scab workers, there was this, there was that. So I don't even want to like even talk about, I don't even know what really has happened there, but it's just, we know it was so preventable and so avoidable, and it's just like I don't even know why they need to use like these live rounds in movies anymore. Like, I just don't even understand that, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
CGI is a thing nowadays. I just don't get it.
When you can get through
make up
3
anything.
John Wick movies with no incident.
well, like even a movie
sorry.
like World War Z, like they couldn't use, like all of that is CGI. Because like they try whatever, where was it in Israel where like the big wall is, that whole action scene, that's all CGI gunfire. Because like, yeah, you guys can't bring in blanks, gunpowder, anything like that. Like you can't, like all these guns have to have like, you know, the firing pin gone. Like, so all those are prop guns with all CGI gunfire. So it's just like, it's very avoidable. I realize, you know, filmmakers want to make realistic films. You know, it's an old Western. I want the big gunfire and I want to be Michael Mann. And it's like, no, just use CGI. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is I saw in some people talking about it in the industry, like people who've worked around sets and stuff, saying, you know, directors and studios like to do the whole live round thing because you get that actual moment of like, what's it called? Like recoil.
Yeah.
Like you get that moment. And I'm like, if your actor can't act like recoil is happening, fire them and find an actor who can act like recoil is happening. Like this
you
is
can
this
find
is
an
your
actor
job
that
is-
says
like-
pew pew like Laura
like,
Dern does, fire
this
them
is-
immediately.
like this is it's their job to act. Like I get it's not quite the same as a real recoil, but like, are you kidding? Like this is a set with actors. Like that is ridiculous that someone might have to lose their life because you don't want someone to act like there's recoil. You want real recoil. Like stuff like that just makes me so angry.
Paige?
I mean, yeah, to echo like what everyone said, it's just a huge tragedy for the film industry and just in general for a person's life to be taken away doing like what they love most and being able to have an opportunity and just working on a set that just safety obviously wasn't the priority at that moment, when at any job, safety should be the number one priority, keeping everyone safe. And I know with like everything going on like in the world, not just like this, but like COVID really, like this is prime example when safety needs to be like number one priority and just keeping everyone safe. And yeah, like I'm sorry, we had this huge thing happen, but The Crow came out in the 90s, right? Like how have we not learned from this since that? Yeah, I'm a huge practical effects person. Like I'm not a big fan of CGI, but when it comes to weapons, like I am like no bueno. Like use the CGI, use that extra, use the money if you have to. Like it's a safer situation to put everyone else in than to use blanks in a sense on a set. So
this is also part of a larger conversation that's going around Hollywood at the moment, which is union strikes and the union wanting better protections on set for reasons like this and exact reasons like this. And is anyone a member of this union on this? I don't 100% sure. Okay, so like at the moment I feel like, you know, obviously we're all very much, we mentioned it last week about how that there is a chance that a lot of these films could get shut down if productions did go on strike, which I think is a very good thing if these productions do go on strike, because yes, we need to be having these films and crew members need to be having at their bare minimum increased, and so that they don't have to work the insane hours that they do. And again, this is we've seen an example of what happens if these aren't if these rules aren't.
Well, we've seen what happens if the crew just, from what we're allegedly, the crew wasn't even looked after at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they weren't getting their pay, the rooms they were given weren't up to scratch, like the very basic kind of stuff. And then we don't even know if that relates to, you know, the safety issues on set or whatever it was, but clearly there are some big issues still. And this is probably the worst possible timing for something like this to happen.
Yeah.
On in terms of not for the unions trying to get, not for the workers trying to get better rights, but just in terms of, you know, anyone who's trying to push it under the rug and say, oh, like the crew members are fine, like they don't need more protections.
Anyone trying to go, this is millionaires wanting more money. No, we have literally the case study right now that you can point to of this is why, this is what, and that's the one hope that you have out of a senseless tragedy is that it fixes so that it doesn't happen again. And hopefully that's what comes from this senseless tragedy is rules and changes are made so that it doesn't happen again.
Can I be super depressed for a second?
Yeah,
of course. We welcome that on all levels.
We're about to elevate the room, so let's go.
Let's bring it all the way down.
Drag it way down.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think I have to say it, but I'm going to, because I feel like what I'm about to say will sound insensitive, but I mean it to be, I'm not comparing the value of human life. I'm just saying that the fact that we're going to see action from this is great. The fact that how many other gun violence deaths have occurred in the United States, including, I don't know, a school full of children, and we see no gun control, no gun reform, responsible gun control. Like, I'm a person that owns a gun. Guess what? I love my gun. You know what? It's not a machine gun. Don't need one of those. And no one's taking my gun away from me just because I support gun control. So I love the idea that this industry is going to take this seriously, because it should. It should have taken it seriously in the 90s. But it's so thoroughly depressing to know that a month from now, I'm probably going to see another mass shooting of some kind, or at least a regional related shooting on the news, and be like, oh, we've learned nothing societally. We can't even look at this and say, not supposed to be a real gun, not supposed to be a real person shooting somebody in any shape, form, or fashion, and they're going to take this ultra seriously, because they should. Everything sucks.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. As someone who lives in a different country who has gun control, it's slightly terrifying. It is terrifying about.
Yeah, you don't really talk to too many people that have guns outside of people who like own farms and need it for specific
reason.
things.
You can't get one.
So.
All right. Again, we just want to say our thoughts are absolutely with the family. Who lost a daughter. There is a family today who lost a daughter.
There's a lot of people who lost a friend, who lost a colleague, who like I'm just so upset about this. Like I saw the story and just was like, please no. Like please let this be like they think she's dead, but she's not dead. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
All right, I can't wallow in this for too long because I'll just get really depressed. So let's go to the next topic.
Instead, let's talk about let's start with a movie that only some of us have seen, and then we can end on the big hype of making everyone happy again. We're going to be talking about Ridley Scott's The Last Duel. Ben, you have seen this movie.
I've seen this movie.
And Mara has. Okay. Ben, what did you think of it first? And what were your expectations going in?
My expectations are going in, like, Jodie Comer is a big up-and-comer. I haven't watched Killing Eve, so, she's like an up-and-comer for me. I'm sure people that watch Killing Eve, like, know her and love her already. But I was excited about that. Matt Damon, he's made his entire life of Matt Damon face, text over his face poster. That's, like, Matt Damon's, like, entire career. Like, congratulations. And then, like, Adam Driver, I'll go see anything he's in. But no, like, Ridley Scott, like, he just makes movies, man. Like, the fact that he has 2 movies coming out within 2 months of each other, and he's 83 years old. Like, the guy is killing it. And as much as I want to see both of these movies, just like I want to see Last Duel because it looked good. And then I want to buy out a theater and have everybody from this community dress like they're in the Met Gala and get shit faced and go watch House of Gucci because it looks so terrible.
Yes.
And I can't wait.
I'm so
We're here for
excited.
that.
I cannot
Yes.
wait for House of Gucci. It looks.
Let's do it after Spectacular.
Yes,
Yes.
Oh my
yes.
God.
Yes, I'm down.
We're on AMC and watch House of Gucci. So pack your suits, pack your Met
As
Gala
long as we
outfit.
tell Dagnino it's at a drive-in in like Santa Fe.
Yeah. But I can't wait for either of them. But no, great performances, really well told story because 15 minutes into the movie, I was like, wait, we are at a bristling pace right now. How are they going to do this? And then slowly getting closer and closer to the truth about what happened. And I really, really liked it. I thought it was a great performance by all three. Ben Affleck is having the time of his life.
Yes.
Like
That's
come
what
in, take,
Jacob told me when he's like,
come in, take your pants off. Like that's literally like one of his lines. Like, come in, take your pants off. I do love that. Like they're just talking in their regular accents, just
Yes.
talking.
Oh my
but then
gosh.
every once in a while, they're like, yeah, I just went over and I just ate a baguette. I'm like, no, it's French. You don't have to be French for a word. Like, stop. It's okay. But I thought it was a great movie.
It's very Kevin Costner.
Definitely a few tough scenes, obviously. And the fact that we kind of have to watch it twice from two different points of view was tough. So a little bit of a warning for everybody out there.
Yeah, trigger warning on this movie.
Yes, but other than that, the final duel was great, and I don't even want to spoil it for anybody, but I legitimately didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And you have Jodie Comer literally tied chained to a pyre, ready to be burned alive if Matt Damon, her husband, loses this fight, and you're like, holy shit, this is crazy. And the fight goes back and forth, and I don't even want to say who wins, but
yeah, no spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers, but it's a very intense final.
Spider-Man wins, right?
Yes, Spider-Man wins.
No, Adam, we win.
I mean, really, when you boil it down, though, technically nobody really.
Evil
wins.
dies tonight.
Technically, no one
Sorry,
wins.
that's the wrong movie.
But one thing I would want to say real quick. We left the theater and I turned to you and I was like, some people might say this sarcastically or mean it as a negative, but I mean it as a compliment and a positive. The chaos of the accents in this movie is my favorite thing in the entire world. Good. It's some people are just so stubbornly American and they don't care. Some people are trying on certain words. I don't know what Adam Driver's doing, but sign me up for it. It's perfect. And then you have Jodie Comer, who actually kind of fits into what they're trying to do.
Comer is Jodie is easily the best part of this movie.
I agree with that.
Easily the best part. And
I agree with that. There's one person that we thought kind of was miscast, and then the story continues.
I'm so fascinated. I'd love to hear Ben and Mara's take on this. I thought Matt Damon was miscast in the first half of the movie. I thought he was massively miscast, and then in the second half, I'm like, oh no, he's actually perfectly cast. I think that the story, he's perfectly cast in the second half when he's not the one telling the story. And
because when you see it from his perspective, you're like, oh, I don't know about that. And then when you see it in the second half of the movie, you're like, oh no, that casting makes sense.
Yeah, I thought because he tried to make himself because the story is essentially 3 acts told from each character's perspective, and it's their truth and what their perspective of the story. And I thought Matt Damon's character's story was, I was like, oh, this needed to be someone younger. This needed to be someone from telling from the youthful arrogance.
Yeah.
But then later I'm like, oh, no, actually you needed someone older. You did need the older character that they got in Matt Damon.
I will say though that Ben Affleck I think was my favorite part.
Oh,
personally of the movie. He was so good. He's having so much fun.
Mara, we got to keep all of his costumes, honestly.
I know,
that blonde hair.
The blonde hair, those gold robes. I hope we got to keep it.
Fabulous.
Jodie Comer may have been the best part of that movie, but Ben Affleck was by far my favorite part.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
He says one of my top 2 favorite words, and he says it in such a way. It's so GIF worthy. I get so much joy from it. I can't wait till this comes out on home video, because guess who's going to clip out that and put it on their phone and make it a ringtone? This person. I'm going to get some weird looks at the supermarket because he says a real naughty word, and I really cheer for it.
So it's definitely Zaddy.
In a Boston French accent.
I really thought it was breathtakingly beautiful, intriguing. I did feel like it was a little self-indulgent in the sense that I don't mind being misdirected in a movie, in the sense that, like, I felt like we spent a disproportionate amount of time establishing Matt Damon's character, only for the story to turn, because I hadn't seen trailers. I went in, I wanted to be blind. And when I realized this was Jodie Comer's movie, I was like, oh, so why do I know so much more about your husband? And
I can see that.
I also felt like there was a significant air of studio interference in, without being spoilery, with how they told one version of the truth and how they effectively told us which version was the truth, particularly in light of, with only very limited research, I was able to figure out that historians greatly dispute what is the generally accepted version of the truth that the movie told. And I felt like it took the recent wave of social events into play, rather than telling a nuanced story that forces us to have tough conversations, instead of just saying the easy thing that's easy to say and that's easy to digest and that's easy to, like, give yourself the attaboy for. So
yeah,
I
can
appreciate
that.
and I loved it. Like, I just feel like I had some small issues.
I do think that is interesting, because I don't want to get too much into spoilery things, but I do think that is interesting, where they kind of do give you that hard line of this is actually the truth, and they don't really make you grapple too much with what is and what isn't.
Yeah.
Which I think they do well. The way they choose to tell the story, I think they do it well. But I do think it would have been interesting to have it be a bit more
of a, who do you like?
Not even like a who do you believe, but like I talked about this when I talked to you about the movie, with something I think they did well with Adam Driver's character. I don't know if everyone else who has seen the movie feels this way, but I don't feel like they made Adam Driver's character just a bad person. I do think there are qualities about his character that make you go, I can't just root against him because he's just evil. Yeah. Like, the way they tell his story and the way his character is developed, I do think you could have told a story where the truth is a little bit more gray, where you don't really have that hard line of who's right and who's wrong.
Or at least where the filmmaker doesn't seem to be saying it.
Right.
Like, let us choose and let us have that discussion.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
like films like that when they let you, it's like not open-ended, but you get to decide what the truth is.
And I mean, I do think there's an element to the end of this movie that still kind of leaves you with, I don't want to talk too much about the ending, but I do like the ending, because I don't actually think there is a winner necessarily in the end of this movie.
I checked my heart rate during the final climax, because I'll talk with you guys offline about why I felt this way, but my heart rate was 125 beats a minute for like the last 17 solid minutes of that movie, because I was in like pins and needles. Like, I'm so worried about how they're going to end this movie that I'm so physically discomforted I can't calm myself. It was riveting. I really encourage people to see it.
It's brutal.
It's pretty violent as well.
Oh,
it's pretty brutal.
It's great in its brutality, but it's brutal.
I felt like it's accurate too, because like warfare back then was not pretty.
I just want to say, do you remember when the whole internet was like roasting Ridley Scott for the look that he gave Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in the film? Yeah. I want to say it works. It actually works in the movie.
It works.
Like, it definitely works. And I also just want to be like, Ridley Scott understands what the people want. Not only is he making 2 movies, he's making 2 Adam Driver movies, and the look that he allowed to happen with Adam Driver in this movie, I was like, you know what? I I don't care what he's done. I dig it. I'm cool. This is great.
Well, between Mullet Damon and Ben Affleck totally pulling off being Platinum Blonde, like 100%. I'm wondering why he wasn't like this his entire life. I'm so here for both of those things. Like, I never thought I needed to see Mullet Damon, but I needed it desperately.
Yeah, it's all of it is iconic. Like, all of it is just fantastic.
All right, let's move on to our next movie so that we can bring in our other panelists and they don't just have to sit there and listen to us talking about this.
I'm hoping that we've encouraged everyone to want to go see it.
Definitely go.
Yeah. Well, the biggest question is this: what is better, The Last Duel or Ridley Scott's debut film, The Duelists?
Ooh.
I'm going Last Duel.
I've seen The Duelists.
Right at that exact moment, the cat started pounding on my butt cheeks with his paws. So that was what that look was.
The cat.
I really want. I don't know which one.
It was the cat. We turned into a cat. What?
Great costume, Dan. You look awesome.
All right.
Gives new meaning to The Duelists.
Oh, Jesus. All right, what's next?
Let's start off with, we're of course talking 2021's Dune. Before we start, did anyone here not like the movie?
I loved it. I didn't like it.
Crickets.
Okay. Yes, I loved it.
Okay. We're gonna start real quick by doing just an overview, and then we will get into spoilers. I'm going to put up a massive spoiler. I will put up a spoiler warning so that we can actually have a conversation about this movie. So,
first off, I just want to say that despite having to watch it on HBO Max because it's not in theaters here until December, we have seen it.
Yes.
So there's that.
Yes. So we had to watch this at home. Which it was disappointing, but
I still loved it.
I still really enjoyed it. I still think this is a great movie, and I'm really glad that I got to watch it. That I got to see it, and I didn't have to wait 3 months.
Yeah.
So we got to watch it on, and I did the right thing. I had my phone away from me. I sat down and I watched the movie.
You had your customary movie theater bathroom break right in the middle where you didn't pause it because
didn't pause it. I was like, nope. I'm making this like a movie theater. I'm running the bathroom, running
had
back.
Had the popcorn and everything.
So it's.
Where do you want to start with this? How do you want to do this?
I am going to go around. Abby, you didn't get so I'm going to go to the three that weren't able to have any contribution to our last movie. So, Abby, what did you think of Dune? Considering I'm pretty sure you're the one who's seen this earliest out of everyone on this panel.
Yes, I'm from Chicago, and I was there last weekend, and I saw it at the Chicago Film Festival with Laura Kelly. I did not see her, and I found out later on Twitter she was also there. And I was mad that I didn't run into her, but anyway, besides the point. I saw it on Monday and I loved it. I knew nothing about Dune going in. I hadn't seen the old movie with that one guy from that thing.
Fair.
What's his
Adam? Adam is like heartbroken right now. I just want to tell you that. Like Adam is really heartbroken.
That man
I'll
loves
watch
David
it.
Lynch.
It made me want to watch. Okay, I love this movie. It was like Star Wars, but good. Like, and that's like, but like that, and that's not even like a hate crime because like
right now.
I do love Star Wars, and I feel like that should be stated. But it was like artistic, like it was like just I don't know. It was more cinematic to me. Wow, I'm a film kid, and I'm talking about movies like this. But anyway, I really loved it. I thought at first I was like, do I hate like just the structure that the film had? But I'm kind of here for it now. Like the more that I like sit with the film, and I am excited for part 2. I think that Timothée Chalamet he did very good. I think Rebecca Ferguson is definitely the standout. I loved her acting, and yeah, I loved it. That's my Dune review.
Adam.
Hey. Yeah, so this movie had so much lead up to it. It's kind of astonishing. I feel like Villeneuve made it very clear for a while that this was his passion project, and I've always felt that Blade Runner 2049 was his dry run at this. And you could do a lot worse. So after Blade Runner 2049 impressed me, I got really excited about this movie. And the original Lynch version is a deeply flawed movie, but what I appreciate about it is it gets the broad strokes about the story right. And visually, it's got a lot of amazing stuff. And the score for David Lynch's Dune is badass. It's so cool. Toto did most of the score for that movie, which is a fun fact. But because I was familiar with the story and the source material, I knew what to expect from the plot of this. What I wanted to be surprised by was his take on it. And I'm happy to say that this movie is the passion behind it, the love for the source material. You feel it. And I, regardless of where it goes as an IP, in terms of what movie is next, what TV series is next, this film by itself deserves the recognition it's getting. And we'll all talk more about it in depth soon. But if I'm going to just give my thesis statement, I think this is a very special science fiction film that we're going to be talking about for a very long time, regardless of how far it goes as a franchise. And I think it's a great indicator of what we can do with these kind of properties when we look beyond just what's instantly entertaining and quippy and fun, and get at some of these larger themes. And I think fans of Game of Thrones have been right to point out that, Dune was a trendsetter in that regard with this kind of storytelling. George R.R. Martin owes a lot of his stories to, Herbert and the things that were set up in the Dune lore. So I want to defer to the floor here, but I was very impressed with it. Really glad I saw it for the first time on a big screen. We'll be happy to rewatch it on HBO, but was determined to see it on a big screen, and quite impressed with it. Just still digesting it a bit.
Marisol.
Yeah. This blows. Sorry to make this direct comparison. This blows something like Tenet out of the water. This is why you go back
I like it quite a lot more than Tenet. This
is why you go back to theaters to see films. Yes. Dune. This is why you go back to theaters to see films. And I'll go from the opposite end as somebody who really appreciates this film. Somebody who I've never read any of the source material. I haven't even seen the Lynch version. From the 80s. Not yet. I will very quickly now, having seen this new one. But I can't think of recent memory a film that I was more excited for without having any familiarity, like any exposure to the source material, whether the film, the previous adaptation, or the original source material, as I was for Dune. Because Denis Villeneuve he's a filmmaker for film lovers. He is somebody who's so quality that, whatever this man's going to make a film about, you want to see. As a film lover, you want to see whatever this person is going to make. There are a handful of directors like that. Denis Villeneuve is actually absolutely at the top list of those kind of filmmakers for me. I don't care what you're making it about. This is not some measure of IP loyalty here. This is about trusting a storyteller in the hands of what seems like fascinating material. And you're so confident in their abilities as a filmmaker and their partnerships with excellent, throughout his entire career, excellent cinematographers. And he's always experimenting with different cinematographers. And I looked up who did, we'll get into it, but the cinematographer for this film, which I find the most fascinating about him is how he piggybacks from different cinematographers, which I think is something rare for such an auteur to do, is to link up with different cinematographers throughout their career and still make amazing looking, excellent films across the board. I think is very, very special. And such a testament to his films. But yeah, quick summary of Dune is that this is luxurious, this is indulgent sci-fi saga filmmaking. Different from, Abby, what you were saying, different from Star Wars, but not comparable, and special in its own way. Completely different angle for I think epic sci-fi filmmaking, and very, very, very Game of Thrones, very power battle establishing, very, very taking the time and the detail to build this world, which is the kind of shit where if you want to just show up for, coincidentally, we saw the trailer for Ambulance before this film. If you just want to show up, child, don't get me started. If you
Michael Bay,
if you just want to show, if you just want some explosions and some easy
Give
emotion,
me Michael Bay's Dune.
Ambulance.
Ambulamps. Okay,
Ambulamps.
all right. That's how they say it in the hood. Ambulamps. But if you just want, if you just are looking for a Michael Bay sci-fi film, sure, knock yourself out. Maybe Dune won't be your ticket. But if you have any kind of appetite for, which I felt a lot of 2001, I felt a lot of Space Odyssey, especially in the first half of this film. I felt
not a derivative Interstellar.
No, not looking at you, Interstellar. Not in that kind of sense.
Just kicking Nolan while he's down.
I'm here for it. Jacob, let her
This
talk.
is better than Interstellar.
I love Dunkirk. No. Trust me. I am a lover of most of Nolan's filmography, but I got some gripes with a couple of films. He's got a couple underwhelming ones. But I will say this, we're in the hands of a filmmaker who's pulling his inspirations from the right places and made this film, what I can only imagine from what you're saying, very, very appealing and enjoyable for the well-versed and the well exposed to this property and this world. And for a complete newcomer like me, it was completely immersive and was completely, it's a dream. It's a dream to be fulfilling to people who are very familiar with the source material and have spent decades loving it and have a lot of expectations for it, and completely accessible to the newcomers. The same way Abrams did with 09 Star Trek, be completely accessible for the newcomers to this property and hook them in and give it the attention and the detail and the time and the dedication to build it up and sell it. I think Dune knocked it out of the park with that. Okay, I'm done.
Did that without having to have closed captions on too for your first viewing?
Oh, everything was clear. This wasn't there wasn't any kind of
Tenet.
Paige.
Yeah. Did you say my name?
I did.
Dude, bravo to Denis, man. This film is literally, to me, I'm not even joking. I think is visually the most stunning, beautiful, most beautiful sci-fi film I've ever seen. And I'm a huge fan of 2001 Space Odyssey, but this movie just knocked it out of the park for me. I have a soft spot for the 1984 David Lynch film, but I mean, yeah, that film isn't that great. It does have pugs in it, so that's cute. But no, this movie was phenomenal. It was everything I hoped for, and I'm just so hyped that it finally came out for all of us to enjoy, whether it was a viewing in your home or in the cinema, which I think it should be seen on the biggest screen possible, because the score, everything about this, the score, the acting, the characters, I thought everyone was so spot on with who was cast in this film that it was just amazing. I love this movie. I really, really hope that they filmed, I know they didn't, but I'm just hoping that they filmed part 2 back to back already, but I know they didn't film part 2 yet. So it's kind of a bummer. We're going to have to wait a couple years to get this, because once I finished it, I was like, wow, I'm ready for part 2 right now. I hope that wasn't a spoiler, but
I put up on Twitter today that Warner Brothers' biggest regret is going to be that they do not have Dune Part 2 ready for October 2022.
Yeah.
That they can't put the Dune Part 2 teaser in front of the Batman, because they're gonna the fact that they're gonna lose a lot of momentum that this movie's gonna make next year. And by 2023 or 2024, when we actually get this movie, it's going the momentum's going to have very much suffered. I mean, we saw that happen with It Chapter 2, of the momentum that It Chapter 1 had generated, that they didn't have that ready to go by.
They should have done what
a year later.
And I think Dune's great, but I don't think it's going to make it money, sadly.
I don't think it's going to make it money, but I mean, it's already nearly made back its budget. So, and that's without a domestic release.
Like if they had a Dune 2 trailer, like around the Oscars, like get like an Oscar slot, because you know it's going to get nominated at least for like technical awards.
Oh, definitely for visual effects, hands down.
Yeah, so
it's like I think in front of Batman, because Batman's at March, Oscars would have been March as well.
Same
so,
cinematographer. I just looked that up.
Yep.
Exactly.
But,
yes.
Yeah, that's real.
Like I think Warner Brothers are that's gonna be a big mistake that they're gonna live to regret, that we can't promote this movie next year. So
I will just say,
I loved it.
I will just say 2 more things. They should have done what Lord of the Rings did. Give us it back to back every year. It would have been the smartest thing just to film it all at once.
Yeah.
Just because within 3 years, everyone's going to look and change and everything like that. I just wanted the story now. But one more thing I will say though is that for such a high budget film, to me, this still felt like an art house film. It was just so beautiful. Everything about it, the storytelling. Some people may complain about it being 2.5 hours. To me, it flew by, because I feel like Dune, I have not read the books, but just knowing the source material, there's so much story and understanding and world building that needs to be done, that this film just did it for me, and didn't feel long at all for me.
Well, that's something that I was really concerned about coming into this movie, just because as of late, I've been kind of just tired by movies that are long, that don't need to be long. They're just doing it for the sake of it. And the Lynch film feels very long.
It's shorter than this.
I know. It feels so long. This movie flew by for me. Like it doesn't feel like it's runtime at all in the best possible way.
Yeah.
I think that because I don't know any of the source material either outside of the Lynch film. And I don't know if I think there are a couple different elements that have to do with it, but the Lynch film left me very confused about a lot of the storytelling and who the characters were and who was connected to who.
That's because they crammed everything in from the story into a 2-hour movie. With this one, they took their time, and we're going to get another part, which is lovely.
But even outside of that, I don't think that cramming the whole thing into one film is the reason why that suffered. I just don't, whether it was Lynch or whether it was studio interference or whatever it was, I just don't think that version of the movie does a good job of leading an audience to what's happening. Whereas I think this one, especially for a general audience, it guides you through the characters you need to know, why they're important, who they are, what the story is. And, I feel like Lynch was kind of like, you either understand it or you don't. Fuck you. I don't give a shit. and this movie is like, all right, so here's what's going on. And it actually helps you figure out what this world you're in is, but it doesn't feel like it's patronizing, and it doesn't feel like it's just, explaining things to you. I think it sets out the story and the characters very well. What I appreciated about it was that I was invested in all of the storylines happening. I was invested in all the different characters and what they were experiencing. Like everyone said, it's a beautiful film. Just visually, it's stunning. The score is great. I really thought all of the acting was great. I thought the casting was fantastic. And I thought there's a scene that I'll talk about a little later when we actually jump into this. But I think it does a fantastic job of creating meaningful suspense throughout the entire film. I really loved it. I might actually, after this stream, be like, hey, I'm going to watch it again because I feel like
that's
it.
what I'm doing.
So
I very much was going into this. I was very excited for this movie when it was first announced, even before it was delayed. And then I sat down and did all of David Lynch's movies, and I watched Dune for the first time. And I went, oh, no, hey, I'm very glad I did all of David Lynch's movies. Dune was not one that I was very thankful for, and it actually kind of put me off.
I got more to say about Lynch's Dune when I get a second, but go on.
No, that's fair. That it kind of, I actually started to get a little nervous about this movie, and I'm very glad that I was wrong, because this is a great movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and everyone's kind of already said it. Like it's very, very well acted. It's incredibly well made. Villeneuve has a master. Villeneuve, I think, is a director who has a remarkably amazing sense of pacing. I can make a movie 2.5 hours that is slow, but you never think that it's slow. Like his way of making deliberately paced films feel like they are flying by is remarkable, and I don't think there's another director who can quite do it the way that he does, because between this, Arrival, and Blade Runner 2049, where his movies are longer, they're slower and more meaning and deeper in the themes that they're telling. They are also extremely well-paced films that keep you on the edge of your seat through the entire runtime, that has you wanting more. So I thoroughly enjoy this, and I can't wait to continue talking about it. Ben.
Yeah, just it was real good. It's like this is a good movie. And this is like, I think this is probably like my biggest, I just Ben Bateman invited me out to the Aero Theater in Santa Monica to see Lawrence of Arabia on the big screen. And I'd never seen the movie to begin with, and then just seeing it on the big screen, I was like, holy shit. Like, I hate to be that guy, but like, this is cinema. Like, when there's just like this sweeping shot of 200 horsemen taking it in, like riding into a city. It's like, how the fuck did this even get made? And I got that same feeling in this movie. And yeah, I wish just like, we used to make jokes like on SCN where it's like, oh, did you get cast in Dune? I just got cast in Dune, because they were casting fucking everybody. And it's like everybody's hot was in this movie. Like everybody's like the hottest. I think I was on Chris TV's show, and that was like the topic was most fuckable cast, and I picked Dune. I was like, it's not out yet, but I picked Dune.
Yeah.
It's that or Cocoon, Ben.
Yeah, so neck and neck. Yeah. But no, this does make me want to go watch David Lynch's Dune, like, because I do want to see, like, where the story like may have gone wrong, and I'm kind of nervous, like, and I do want to ask, like, I see Tim Franco in the chat, like, and he says he's a big fan of the source material. Like, how much did this movie cover of the book? Does the Lynch movie cover like all of it?
Has anyone else here actually read the books but me?
No.
So you're gonna be the person to tell us all.
How far did they get, Mara?
Not okay. As far as the first book goes, not exceptionally far. Here's the thing, though: do not watch David Lynch's Dune unless you want to know some massive spoilers for your future movies. Now, this is a series that's been out for decades. The first movie's been out for decades. Even the miniseries been out for decades. So it's not like they're really spoilers at this point. But if you want to try to do like, a Game of Thrones, hey, I'm not going to know what the Red Wedding is, kind of a thing, do not watch that movie, because you're going to find out a lot of things that you would probably rather not know. If you think you can stay away from them. Now, I don't think that they're going to stay unspoiled very long, just because the internet is terrible. But
it's like me watching like all my anime with all like the manga is like already been printed, and I'm like, oh, just stop, like let me just watch my anime, like I just want to watch this come out. But no,
like,
just
even if you watch the movie though, just like stop though. It won't take you very long, but just stop.
Yeah, like I just loved everything about it. Like I honestly, with Blade Runner, and I love 2049 more than the original, honestly. With that movie, I can be like, oh yeah, it's a little long and there's some slow moments. With this, I don't even know what slow moments like they would talk about. Like everything is so well paced, and like there's like just something to pique your interest. You know, the hunter killer drone, the excavator incident, like and then you know, like 15 minutes later, if that, the big attack happens, and then more sandworm stuff, and then Duncan Idaho kicks all the ass. Like there's so much in there for just even like a simple like sci-fi fan. Like, oh yeah, what is this? I feel like there's just everything in there for you. So I was trying to like be very general with what I was saying about the
No, sorry. I'm just like, you know what? Let's just put it up.
Let's just go for it.
Let's just go for it.
But everything about this works for me, and I've already seen it twice. I watched it on HBO Max, but I cannot recommend a theater enough. If you can do it safely and at your comfort level with a mask on, spaced out, find like an empty matinee showing. But just the simple time where the mother, like the main like witch lady, like says like come kneel, in like the voice in the theater, I like jumped because like it like gets you. And then I just watched it on HBO Max and I was like, oh, I don't know if I was expecting it or like it just didn't hit. Like the whole room vibrated whenever anybody used the voice. Like Rebecca Ferguson channeling Rose the Hat into another performance, like when she's telling all the Hurricane like to kill each other. I was like, oh, like how is Rebecca Ferguson has one of the craziest careers, like completely upstaging Tom Cruise in a Mission Impossible movie twice in a row, and then just never looking back and just being the center of attention for the rest of her life. And I'm fucking here for it. Like she needs to team up with like she's in Hugh Jackman. I haven't seen Reminiscence, but I'm sure she's better than Hugh Jackman in it. Cause it's literally her calling card. It's like, hey, male lead, do you want me to be in your movie and be way better than you in it? Okay, here I am. Let's go.
She steals Greatest Showman for me with her number.
Yeah. Yes, she does.
Yeah. Well, see, this is the best part. So it's the second movie in a row where she sings and Hugh Jackman falls in love with her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it.
Lara, what are your thoughts?
Okay. I have so many thoughts. Number one of the reasons why I think some of the criticism that I've seen about it being like slower or less interesting or style over substance, etc. One of the things that Dune is the best at is it has a lot to say. And I would never ever, I was telling this to Jesse Swift earlier because he's also read the books. So I had somebody to geek out with. I would never ever tell someone, you're not smart enough to understand it, so that's why you don't like it. But I think, yes, I know, I agree with you. I think that if you aren't listening to what it has to say, you have zero chance of liking it, and you will think it's slow, you will think it's boring, and you will think it's style over substance. That source material had shit to say when it came out, and it is even more relevant now. And people don't know the trajectory of these characters yet. I've seen some criticisms that are definitely not accurate because they don't know where these people go and they don't know what they're going to do. And people that you think are good may not be good. People that you think are bad may not be bad. I also think this is just personal. I mean, because you can categorize stuff however you want based on what clinical terminology you want to use and what experiences you had. I think Dune is way more fantasy than it is sci-fi. Like I know Frank Herbert calls it soft sci-fi, but to me, it reads way more Lord of the Rings-esque in the sense that this is world building, this is mythology and history more so than it is. It's not a space adventure. It's not a space opera. It's not really even about the technology per se. It's more about the history of the people and where they go together. So I think that that's a harder sell. I think sci-fi is an easier sell because of things like J.J. Abrams doing Star Trek and Star Wars and bringing them into the main space for people that either like them, love them, or have no idea what they are. So, I mean, I hope people give this movie a chance. I also really encourage people to see it on the biggest possible screen you can because, man, I already want to see it again and just like hauntingly beautiful. If this movie doesn't win Best Visual Effects, I'm gonna harm members of the Academy. I'm gonna fall on this sword like I did for cinematography for 1917. I'm willing to commit grievous bodily injury to others. I don't care what that means for me regarding law enforcement. It's just so gorgeous. I've never looked at a movie and said, I don't know where real fire begins and fake fire begins. I've never looked at a movie and said, I don't know where fake smoke begins and real smoke begins. It's so wonderful. And those are things we haven't really seen yet. Yes, I know. I'm glad they changed some of the not subtle, problematic elements of how Lynch depicted the Baron. I'm really glad that they fixed that. So, yeah, I really could keep going, but I don't want to monopolize it. I could talk about this movie for an hour straight. It's
Well, more, I'm
so
like
good.
curious on your thoughts, like from like the book perspective of like, do you think was there a lot of adaptation from it, or do you think it was more Denis like kind of being more creative with it, or actually taking the source material in a sense?
Oh, this is a love letter to the source material. I mean, there are minor changes made. There are always going to be. There are definitely some small things that are trimmed. They always have to be. But considering this was looked at as unadaptable, and I feel like it's coherent, because Dan is also the same way as most of you. He's never seen Dune, either the movie or the miniseries. He's never read the books. Knows nothing about it whatsoever, other than, oh, there's a handsome Timothée in it, and that's all I know. And it's like, okay, great. That's all you need to know right now. He thought it was coherent. He thought that it made sense. He had very limited questions for me about like some of the funny names of things, or the history of this people, or what was their thing a long time ago, or this or that. Like really limited, questions that were very intelligent questions based on what he'd seen. So he wasn't lost. He wasn't like kind of treading water in the, who are these witches? Like, so I think that he did an excellent job.
So that's what I also think. I think this movie does an incredible job of, and I think was very intelligent. And the Lynch one also kind of did this, but it doesn't work today because a lot of those actors aren't as well known now. But hiring actors that are very well known to play these roles, because when they mention names, it's like, oh, Oscar Isaac, that's who they're talking about. Instead of like you
associate.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to associate these out there names with
people you recognize.
Yeah, so I think that was a very intelligent casting decision that they made. All right, we're gonna go full spoilers now. Talk about anything, everything, whatever you want. Probably do it for about another 15-20 minutes until we're all happy with talking this movie. So what do we think of essentially the climax of the movie, which is, that's one criticism that I have seen a few people bring up, which is it doesn't do the Lord of the Rings thing where it has a natural end point. It kind of like, it doesn't have this story itself tells a self-contained story, but sets up the next one. It's very much, this is part one. Is that a valid criticism? Is that something you think is being a little nitpicky? Marisol, you seem to be very much disagreeing.
Yeah, no. Man, Dune, again, what I will say about it being accessible to everybody. The opening credits is like, Dune, part 1. like that is
like I need to do my own research about what part 1 means. I'm gonna go ask my uncle on Facebook what he thinks about it. So what, I realize there's been like scientific clinical trials about what part 1 means, but I'm just gonna have to do my own research about it. Okay, so
look, that's fair. Mama curbed her expectations going into this thing because the movie tells you literally when it starts that this is part 1. This is going to be a part of an entire story. And once it says that, I don't want to hear any nitpicking. I don't want to hear like, well, you didn't have a complete definitive there wasn't resolution at the end of this film. Oh, really? A part 1 of 3? Like there wasn't some resolution. This movie tells you what it is. It's pretty clear. Like by the time you're like 45 minutes into this film, and it's still setting up everything, that this is not going to be a closed circuit story. Yeah. I think I'm not here for it. The conversations of people that are just like I just wanted this to be like like a complete like.
Well, I'm with Tim and I'm with Marisol on this. Like, okay, Fellowship of the Ring. Technically, the dude doesn't get to Mordor. He doesn't throw a ring into a fire. They decide he's going to go do it, and then they start walking. Like, but it's in its own way a pretty self-contained story in the sense that Frodo is about to begin. Well, he's beginning this epic adventure that changes the trajectory of his entire life. Same thing with Paul. He has closed the door on what he knows as his lineage and his trajectory with House Atreides, and he has decided that the desert is now his future, at least as his near future. So I think that in a way it does close a chapter on the life he saw for himself and the life that Jessica saw for him, at least to that point. And it is setting out for something new. They survived, the incursion. They survived, being betrayed by Yua, and they're on their new thing now. So I don't think it's per se an incomplete sort of story. Like, sure, it sets up other stuff, but so does every other multi-part story ever told.
Exactly. I think they do come full circle with what at least like what they meant the goal at least for this film was his coming of age as it was. Like, that he was trying to have like kind of a rite of passage, and Jessica even says, she's like, oh, he's never killed anybody before, And
2 seconds later, bam, right in the back.
Exactly. He's like, hold my beer, I got this. And
now hold my drinkable sweat.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I was holding it for him on the side. You guys didn't see me in the
To be fair, Adam, that's what IPAs taste like. So
you're here.
But yeah, and the film, Zendaya says it best. She's like,
God bless her, Zendaya.
Oh my God, what is she say? She's like,
this is only the beginning, I think.
The only beginning. Yeah. She's like, she pretty much, she looks at him and she's like, hold on.
I love how ready she is to see him die. She's like
hold on.
You can die.
She's like, listen, kid, you're about to die, but I at least want you to do it with honor. So here you go.
I know you've been dreaming about me the whole movie like a weirdo, but enjoy dying.
Not only that, that's one of my favorite things. How like we've been watching 2 hours of just like dreams, and Dea, she's just like, come hither, and like, and then he meets her in person, and she's like, yeah.
She's like,
you ain't
but
shit.
then he's about to say something to her, and then he's just like, never mind. I'll tell you in part 2 that I had dreams about you. Like,
I also did think that it was, a really great way of ending the film of the teaser of Desert Power is them riding. Like I liked how the walk was complete bullshit. That how they go that this is how desert people walk, and it's so that to stop the
that walk is pretty cool.
The non-rhythmic walking,
the rhythmic walking. That it was, and I liked that. Oh no, this is what I've read. This is how they walk, and it's complete bullshit. That's not what it is. That's not how they survive. They just ride the worms instead. That's how they survive.
Worms.
I thought
like
that
was. But...
I thought that was really well done. I'm a little disappointed the trailer actually revealed what they look like. I'm considering the movie builds up to it. I'm a little annoyed that it did reveal that, but whatever.
It didn't make anything less tremendous, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It's still like just seeing it in theaters, like in an IMAX, like because like the shots on an IMAX camera, and it's just like holy, like it's still like worth the wait. But yeah, it should have been a big reveal. But yeah, just I love like how the visions, like some of them were coming true and then some of them weren't.
Yeah.
So like you never the exposition was so well told, either through like the beginning narration or through like, the educational films he was watching. It never felt weighted down with like explaining stuff. And yeah, like, I watched it today on HBO Max and I was like, oh, okay, that's the actual name of this. Like, okay, that's the planet. That's who they were talking about. And so you do get more of the Game of Thrones political intrigue of the movie rather than, oh, Stellan Skarsgård is bad. Okay, he kills Oscar Isaac. And Oscar Isaac's final line is so perfect.
And he's naked. Damn.
Right. But yeah, that was everything works. Sorry. Oh no, it was just so good.
That's the other thing I just want to mention, and I promise, Adam, I'm not going to completely keep shitting on the Dune one, but
yeah, I'll get to say something about it eventually. I'm sure
the use of sign language or their nonverbal communication instead of the voiceovers from the Lynch movie, which I know Lynch didn't want to do, and I get that. Lynch's Dune is not the movie Lynch wanted to make, but this being, I just thought there was incredible and really smart ways of getting through exposition dialogue without it being just straight up an exposition dump. It was very much and conveying stuff to the audience that we shouldn't really be able to know easily. That they were finding ways to do it easily, and I was very impressed with how they did that.
Yeah, I really like this film. Like, to me, it was very much a coming of age film, and not to like reiterate what everyone said, but the way it did end, like, it makes you want more, because that was this end of like chapter 1 pretty much, that now we're gonna see the journey that he takes pretty much from everything that he lived before, just getting destroyed and getting betrayed, that now we're going to see what happens when he gets desert power.
Yeah, I remember like on Sabrina said on SEN that this could be considered like a YA film and like, you know, like targeted at those audience, and like people freaked out in the chat, and like watching this, I'm like, no, it definitely could be.
She's
definitely
he's
not
a young
wrong.
man that's been the chosen one. Like that's the definition of every YA movie ever. So like she's not far off. So I think that
But it's definitely more mature film.
Yeah, it definitely is. You know, it's you know, it's got like more going for it. But like, I mean, if you like plot me down in the middle of like Hunger Games, there's a lot of shit to take in that movie too. Like all the different districts and, you know, names and President Snow and all that stuff. Like, but no, I thought it was just like so just perfectly like explained, and like you just like you're set in this world, and they don't hold your hand, but they do explain things along the way for you to keep up. But yeah, that final knife fight was so tense and so well done. And oh God, like, and just like Zendaya saying, you know, this is only the beginning. Like, cause you know, I thought the movie would end with them walking away, and then it shows more. I was like, okay, we're still going. And then she's like, this is only the beginning. And it felt like the first, you know, it felt like Sam closing the door on me again. I was like, no, I want to go. Let's keep going. I'm okay with another 2.5 hours.
Right. I literally could have once that film ended, the credits hit, I was like, damn, I really want to watch another 2.5 hours of part 2.
Yeah,
like
for
right
sure.
away, I wanted more of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I legit hope that there is an extra like 30-40 minutes in an extended version, because we got extended cuts of Lord of the Rings, and I see no reason to deprive me of extra footage from this movie.
Yes.
Me personally, this is an affront to me.
So, Maura, I have a question for you, though. All right. So, since the book, it's very hard for people to, well, I mean, people think it's unadaptable. Do you think there's going to be more than, how many, like, do you think there's going to be more than a part 2? Do you think we'll get more? Do you think the part 2 will actually complete the story? I know there's multiple books, but I just mean, I guess, from book 1. I don't know.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I think it depends on if they're just going to do book 1. I think there are parts that you could easily bring in from the other books that would make sense to do cinematically in a first kind of telling of story. Like, you know, if we're going to call it like Lord of the Rings Hobbit-esque, as in like, we're going to wait a little bit, see how this ages like a wine, and then do it, but hopefully like do it better and not like how they did the Hobbit. But like, I think that 2.5 hour movies could do it, but I think it should be 3, because I think that one criticism I've seen that I don't necessarily agree with, but I see why people would think this, because I know these characters because I've known them for decades. Other people haven't. So I've seen people say that they wish there was a little more development, that they felt like they had to introduce so many people. There are more people we're going to bring into this story too that we haven't even met yet. So I'd like for them to have room to breathe and develop the characters. And I don't want to feel like they have to, like, there's some storylines I really hope that they cut that are coming up that I don't think need to be included. But if they throw them in, or if they pick and they choose and they need more room, I'd rather have more movie that takes its time and does it well than like cramming it in. But that's just me though. I could see it if someone says like, hey, cut out every bit of fat, tell me the necessary story in 2.5 hour movies. I don't find that that's problematic. I mean, I love the source material, but I don't need to see every page of it on the screen. It's just not doable.
Now, is the David Lynch film, is that just based off the first book? Or is that based off of multiple?
It's the book, but very, very, very shrunk.
So my interpretation of it is, I feel like the David Lynch movie is very similar to Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Where it like kind of jumps into what comes next very hastily, and not going to spoil anything from the Lynch movie for people who haven't seen it, but it goes farther than this movie in a very awkward,
by a lot, yeah,
truncated way. And I'm just glad that this I'm glad this version's taking its time. What I want to say about the Lynch movie is that when that movie came out, that was like Lynch being kind of, steered towards a project, and the budget wasn't quite there, the vision wasn't quite there, and they just forced it into being a movie. This is something that, the filmmaker has been wanting to make basically his whole life. And you can tell that just every millisecond of this is storyboarded in his brain. And that's what I love about this version of the movie. But what I think people need to give Lynch's version credit for is there are you can easily do a lot of shot for shots between these two movies where, and as far as I understand, Denis Villeneuve does have an appreciation for Lynch's movie, because it's all that there was that in the miniseries, like Mara brought up, and people don't talk about the miniseries at all. That was the thing that came out and kept this property alive.
Well, that was huge.
Yeah, and that went pretty far, right, with the story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, you wanted to do Denis. He's clearly respectful of you can tell how respectful he is of the source material and even the Lynch film, which I had
did
seen
so much with
back.
so little, even though it's not a perfect movie.
Well, even if you just he is paying homage. He's not like one of those people who retcons like the previous filmmakers who attempt stuff. It's on YouTube. You can find a shot by shot, a side by side comparison of just the trailers alone, and how many shots that Villeneuve mimics from Lynch's original film. It's astonishing how many shots he's paying homage to in his new film with what Lynch did in the 1984 version.
In an organic way.
Yeah. Very organic. But he is just like, we're so inspired by what's happening in this new film, but he is really, really, really pulling the best of what came from that Lynch film, almost shot by shot, like shot for shot. Like in some scenarios,
the aesthetic of that movie is the best part.
Yeah, exactly. And it's worth really looking, really getting a new appreciation for the Lynch version by looking at really YouTubing those shot by shot comparisons of just the trailer.
What I wanted to mention as well, real quick, is just that in the Lynch version, the way they got through a lot of the exposition, as people have mentioned, is characters had inner monologue, and it's really clunky and awkward because they're explaining the plot to themselves in their own brains. Mm-hmm. And it becomes a crutch for that version of the film, and it's very unfortunate. It makes the film seem, a lot more literal than it needs to be. And what I love about this version is they find organic ways to incorporate exposition in more interesting ways. I appreciate the way that, Paul is watching his little informational tape occasionally, but they don't overdo it. They do it like 2 or 3 times at very specific moments that really help the audience, whether you're familiar with the source material or not, like get a grasp of what the rules are of this world. And just through conversation, I think this is a movie that if you watch it the first time, you're not going to remember every single name of every single house and every term. And there's like, 3 different names for Paul Atreides alone that you're not going to pick up without subtitles unless you're familiar with the source material. But again, it's not important about memorizing every single detail at an inner geekdom level your first viewing. It's about the essence of the story, the broad strokes, and how, like Mara said, it is more fantasy than sci-fi, like Star Wars is at its best, in my opinion.
I do wish that one thing they left out of this version is I wish that they would have explained a little bit more about Imperial conditioning and why the Doctor's betrayal was so surprising, because that was a huge surprise.
Yeah, I wish they went.
The Lynch version puts more gravity in that betrayal. I'll say that.
That was one element that I thought, when you were mentioning an extended edition, that I think that's something that I think could be in an extended edition. Like, that's the one element that maybe you could actually really go, okay, here's another 20 minutes in. Because I thought one thing that this film did really well that I actually really liked was that you had the villain, and Skarsgård was the villain of this movie. Like it wasn't. There's the Emperor, and then there's this family, and then there's also this. Like they alluded to it all, but they weren't really like, we're gonna cut to it, and now cut to this, and now cut to here, and now cut, and like showing it all really confuse people. Instead, they were like, no, Skarsgård's the villain. We're following House Atreides, and this is what they have to do. And I thought that was a lot smarter in its adaptation of and way of presenting the story.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with everybody on the whole Doctor storyline. To me, in the betrayal storyline, to me in the Lynch version, I was like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is and why it matters. Like these people just got betrayed by some dude that I don't even know what the hell's happening. In this one, he spends a lot of time with Paul, and he spends a lot of time with Lady Jessica, and you get to see the relationship that they have. And how, like, to me, just visually and storyline-wise, you saw him spending so much time with the family. And I get that they didn't put a lot of emphasis on, like, why it's such a huge betrayal. But to me, this one was more impactful because I actually understood what was happening. The Lynch version, I didn't get it at all. I was like, why are we upset this guy betrayed him? Do we even know who this guy is? I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. And Taylor, I'm on the same wavelength as you. My only thing was, I didn't even know he had a wife that was, like, taken. Like, I feel like they didn't, like, touch upon that at all. Like, if they touched upon that just a little bit, like, my wife isn't with me because she's captive by them or something. Like, it would have just, like, made the portrayal not make a little bit more sense, but, like, hit deeper, kind of. I don't know.
I thought they did well with it. They could have
married those two.
Yeah, I thought they did well with it because, like, especially when he's about to be tested, the doctor shows him more compassion than Lady Jessica does. Like, she's so cold, like, get up, get dressed, you have to do this, no questions asked. And he whispers to him in, like, you know, a language like that she might. I don't know if Lady Jessica understands the language they talk between themselves, but obviously he's like, you have to be on guard, like, you have to do this. So it's like he obviously loves Paul. And like cares for him deeply. So I thought, like, I understand what you guys are saying, and I somewhat agree with it, but like I thought they did a good enough job at like establishing that relationship to be like, this doctor, he's not like, you know, he's not like the Obamacare, like, oh, this is your primary care physician, a guy you're never gonna fucking meet. No, this is like the family doctor that probably like birthed Paul and like raised him from a baby.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason why it matters, why it's supposed to be so surprising, is because they are not supposed to be physically allowed to betray their masters, like the people that they serve. Effectively, they're supposed to be incorruptible, which is why it was so surprising that, granted, it's kind of a little bit of a thing that the Lynch movie doesn't explain super well, like how they broke his conditioning by using his wife. It's like, well, is Imperial conditioning really that good if all it takes is torturing your wife? But like, that's part of why it was supposed to be such a big like gut punch where you're like, wait, what? Because you're thinking like, is it which of these characters that I know is the one that's betrayed them, or is it someone I don't even know yet? And then you're like, but you're not allowed to. And then they go into the whole thing. But
Mara,
I wonder if that's something that didn't really register for me because I don't know the source material and I don't feel like the Lynch film explained that to me. So when I watched this version, I was just like, oh, he just betrayed the person that I'm being led to believe by this movie, Paul. Like, he's betraying, like, clearly he loves Paul and he loves his family. And to me, it's a huge betrayal in this movie because he's basically, other than Oscar Isaac, other than the dad, he seems to be the most, like, emotional and sentimental with Paul in terms of, like, his actual well-being and really looking after him. So to me, because I wasn't, this movie doesn't really explain that part of the betrayal, like why that would be a big deal in terms of conditioning. Maybe it's just something that I didn't notice because is there something going on here? Because you're laughing while I'm trying to talk. I feel like no one's listening to me.
I am. No, sorry.
No, I'm listening.
Yeah, we're listening.
Okay.
Yeah. What?
Okay. All right. Alrighty.
He's like giving me a smirk like he's laughing about something and not listening to what I'm saying. Anyway, I think it was different for me because the Imperial like conditioning, I didn't notice it in the Lynch film, whether that was my own fault or because the movie isn't greatly made, not necessarily of any fault of Lynch, but just the product we got was not necessarily the best. But also this movie doesn't feel like it really relies on that. Like, I don't know if that is a part of a story we're going to get if we get a longer cut, or if that's just not something that's part of it. But that is an interesting thought, because I didn't even realize that that was a thing until Mara just explained it to us.
Abby, do you have any spoiler thoughts?
Not enough Zendaya for me, honestly. But
Fair.
Okay, I'm gonna take that back. I think that that's my own personal gripe because I love Zendaya, but I think that it worked for this movie. I think it is funny that she is marketed as almost like the co-star, and that's kind of my problem. But I understand if like you're someone like my age, like that's how you're gonna get like those butts and seats. So yeah, that was just like kind of my big spoiler thing, is just the amount of Zendaya, but I think that it was a perfect segue into part 2.
Yeah, because I think they've already said too that like part 2 is she's going to definitely be
It's
like
more her
one of the
story.
leading stars. It's going to be following her a lot because obviously they'll be in the desert. And I heard she only filmed like a week like for this film, obviously, because there's only a couple scenes. But I was very surprised when I saw that, because that came out before the film came out. So I was like, oh damn. I was like, so she's definitely not in this one as much as I thought.
There's a moment in this movie that like is not significant at all, doesn't mean anything, but is stuck with me since we watched it. And it's the moment when Paul and Lady Jessica are escaping in the, what is it called? It's not a helicopter. It's
ornithopter.
Or sure, that. When they're escaping.
Thank you, Fortnite.
Yes. And there's a moment where the film is creating tension, and it keeps changing the shot between them and like the ledge, whatever it is, the entrance.
Yeah.
And I feel like in most other movies, you would get that switch, and then at the last second when they're escaping, someone would run up through it and start shooting at them. And I felt like having that not happen was such a great way to create tension while also creating this sense of going forward in this movie, there's going to be tension, but you don't know if it's actually going to be a real danger or not because of what that shot was able to do, where you think you're getting one thing, you think they're going to be caught, you think someone's on their heels, but that's not the case. And it just creates this great sense of tension and unease going forward, where if those moments happen again, and when they do happen again, you don't actually know if someone's going to show up or not, or if something's going to break, or I don't know. I just thought it was a great way to like.
No, I agree. I was on edge.
That.
Like once they got to Arrakis, I was like kind of on edge, like because the movie's like so loud and like out there. And I was like, oh man, like I have no idea what's gonna happen. Like,
well, you nailed it exactly with that scene, Taylor. Like I was looking for the same thing in the theater. I was like squinting. Like I was like we're about to see like a couple dudes like running up with guns like in those shots. They kept cutting back in those shots. And I think a lot of this is what you were talking about earlier, Paige, like Make-A-Wish, like it's frustrating, this conversation we're having about having to wait, even though a sequel I think has been greenlit. I think
it has.
I know it's not officially, but the head of Warner Brothers basically came out and went.
The cinematographer is already listed in pre-production. Like when I looked him up, so.
There you go. And they should. And I think what they can do, I like it would be great if Warner Brothers had the balls that New Line Cinema had back in like 1996 or whatever, 1997. They would do this as one giant production, the way that New Line Cinema took the chance with Peter Jackson. And they were just like, yes, you can do one giant production, you know, and then we'll split it up into 3 films. Warner Brothers plays things clearly film by film and needs to see receipts first before they greenlight
They're hedging
things.
their bets because of Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, understandably, because that's how you do it at this point in 2021 when you're releasing a big budget film like this. What I would be shocked, I really want to look into it more, is what I picked up in watching this and what made it so impressive and what made the visual effects so seamless to me. Speaking of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy, was I felt a use of miniatures. and I feel like they were probably just seamlessly blended in. Like you can kind of tell some films that are just all CGI, you know, and the films that look so textured and so layered and so organic and so impressive with seamless visual effects, like I think this did, what Dune did, is I feel like when you see something like that and it looks just so organic and so textured and so real, I feel like there's a lot of miniatures at work, and there would have to be this. The scope of this movie is fucking off the charts. Like it's so off the charts. Like it's so like there are people like just people are just walking like through rooms, and these rooms look like the rooms are like 100 yards long, like for no reason at all. Yeah. Like these rooms are just so gigantic, and like obviously they didn't make sets for this. You know, but this is too realistic and too textured and too organic looking to just be like completely CGI, or else it would just look like a flat painting. So I feel like a lot of miniatures and miniature sets and miniature ships and things like that were used, and then just very, very just done very well in composite and just very well like blended to look like natural, like actual scenes. And I think that will work a lot in the film's favor. For like a sequel. I think they can get these sequels off the ground really quick, whether they want to do another one or another two. I think they can get them made on a smaller budget and made pretty efficiently if they lean into more like I'm saying, like more craft building, what I feel like they did with this film, which a lot of handiwork. I think a lot of miniature work. In the credits, it looked like they had a lot of craftsmen on crew for this. Maybe more than visual effects artists. They had a lot of like actual craftsmen working on this film. And I wouldn't be surprised if, and that would bode well really for getting these sequels made efficiently, within budget efficiently. And I think really quickly and really well done, because it was just seamless in these films. And I love that.
And more space bagpipes.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. That's where the budget went. That's why
that was awesome. That came out of nowhere and it totally worked.
I guess they're Scottish.
It really did work.
The guy just walks out with bagpipes. I'm like, sure.
Well, yeah, but then when like the chorus hits, like when the rest of them hit, I was like, oh!
And then they kept calling back to it with the theme for House Atreides, which I love.
There was
Wait,
a
so
distinct
his
lack of
grandfather
hugs,
was really
though.
just like one of the bull people. Like that sounded so.
Like, were there still
dumb for me to say, but
it's like 2101. Like,
no, it's like 10,000 and it's 10,191. That's why I'm like, wait, your grandfather was a.
Were there still matadors? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that confused the hell out of me. I was like, wait, dude, dad, yeah, your grandfather.
Damn, who's still
a hell of a drug.
Cheesing? Yeah,
Spice is a hell of a drug, Marisol.
I guess so.
But I'll tell you, actually, one other big thing this movie did that I thought was actually ingenious, because it actually very clearly and very well explained what spice actually was, which is, it's oil. Okay, spice is oil. Cool. Makes sense. Like,
well, I mean, obviously there's the allegory of
smoke.
them stealing it from people in the Middle East. I mean,
it's okay, cool. We're doing okay. That's what this movie is, and from there, and I really, really love this movie, and I cannot wait for the sequel that will eventually come in 2024, because I have
Dude,
no faith.
how nuts would it be if they literally like drop a trailer like next year and they were just like, we secretly already shot part 2. I would.
Hey, by the way, Villeneuve was hating on HBO Max just because marketing, and we were playing all of yous for fools. All right. Does anyone else have anything they want to add?
Distinct lack of plugs.
Fair. Fair.
Call me.
I do think it's pretty cool that Warner Brothers trusted Denis after, like Blade Runner was such a flop, to like make like this giant big budget. It is like, I mean, I know it's not like, this A24 movie. It's like, it's Warner Brothers. It's a giant budget, but it is cool like to see that a non-comic book movie, and like, yeah, it's a well-known IP, but there's still plenty of people that don't know what Dune is. So it's cool to see Warner Brothers take a chance on this. And I honestly think like in a normal year, I think this would have crushed at the box office, honestly, because like the hype was real. I was at a completely sold out IMAX showing, and like all the show. I was trying to
go to it.
I did go to it. I double masked, and I was looking tonight, but literally Dolby, because AMC has like Dolby, they've got the Real D, they've got the IMAX, all of them only front row available. Like everything was just like completely sold out. So
I mean, JTE put up on Twitter that they were meant to go to they were going to go see it tonight, and he bought tickets for tomorrow instead
on accident.
On accident. So, but that goes to illustrate the fact that that's a big deal. He can't get tickets again for tonight.
Yeah,
just assume they were for tonight.
Yeah.
I looked at all 3 AMC's in Burbank. I looked at City Walk, and it was just like nothing. Like everything is full.
I know that's it's opening weekend, and that's also LA. But that's
still a pretty
my
big
theater
deal.
was full, like capital FULL. Like I've never been more uncomfortable because I had to sit next to another human being that I don't know for the first time in almost 2 years. Like totally worth it though. I'm boosted. I was double masked. People next to me were wearing masks, so I was fine. But please, people, do your comfort level. Don't make us force you to go see the movie, but please go see the movie.
Mm-hmm. Well,
3
guys,
3 p.m. matinees.
Yeah.
Sitting
at home watching it on HBO. Sitting at home watching on HBO Max because we can't see it in the theater. Please, I am begging you, AMC, have at least one IMAX still playing Dune in December. I am begging you, please.
Oh, so that's why you have the whole Sony pushing Spider-Man out. You just want it for your.
Well, no, that too, but also
that'll teach you, Jacob, for talking about Halloween Kills for 2 weeks before I could see it.
Okay, but that's the reason we weren't reviewing Halloween Kills tonight, because
we're still not allowed to talk about it. We're still under embargo. We still have another week of embargo. So
because they were that confident on it.
So bad.
Anyway.
Made $50 million.
I can neither confirm nor deny if it is bad because I
will confirm for you, Taylor.
Thank you.
All right, guys, it's not that bad.
All right, guys.
All right, to close this off, I'm just gonna say Paul Atreides fucks. Everyone go see the movie.
Yes, Timothy Chalamet, give me a call.
Leto Atreides fucks. Let's be honest here. Leto.
True.
Oh my God! Right?
But Goddard, does Tommy Doyle fuck?
That is.
Which
come
one?
Come here, Jason. I got something for your ass. I don't know why I got a New York accent living in Haddonfield, but
I got old Huckleberry here. We're
gonna gobba get this guy.
Go grab my baseball bat.
All right, guys. We're gonna wrap it up there. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone here for hanging out with us. And
everyone's links are in the description. If you want to find people on social media, guys, you can find most of them here most of the time anyway.
Yeah,
so
I'll be here tomorrow.
Basically live on this channel. And guys, tomorrow is the big day from 2 p.m. PST. You'll have seen that Mara is
the big day. You guys are getting married. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Sorry, that's just how people always say it.
We are paying for us to be able to go to the States, and for we're paying for us to be able to get over for Spectacular. So tomorrow is our big fundraiser. Please join us from 2 p.m. tomorrow.
Jacob's going to be doing backyard wrestling stunts all day.
Yes.
Here are all of the. Here are all the things that we could possibly doing, our stretch goals for tomorrow. So if you want, if you are able to, if you want to join in on random brackets, if you want to ask questions for the panel, and if you want to join in on a round of Jackbox tomorrow, join us from 2 p.m. tomorrow, and please donate. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm very much looking forward to it. It's going to get absolutely messy and be a lot of fun.
Well, and I've been making the aforementioned cake for baking lessons with Mara. So that's what I've been up to.
Jacob, can you go full screen on me real quick, and I'll just show you the seating chart for this. Guys, should I get that seat right there? Should I get that one? That's the 10:30 IMAX in 30 minutes. Should I just
I think you should.
Can you take me off full screen, please? It's really uncomfortable.
We want you there.
Just hey guys, man. Sorry, I'm just here to watch the movie.
Yep.
Touch me.
Don't touch me.
But yeah, that's so I'm very hopeful for the box office of this movie. I think it's going to do very well.
Yes, I really hope it does too, because I want the sequel. I want many films from this franchise. with this cast, and I really want a piece of Mara's cake. So send it to Boss.
I do too.
Oh, I'm making cake pops too because I have a lot of extra cake. So hold on, we're moving. So I bake
San
it
Bruno,
in a sheet tray.
Massachusetts.
I bake it in a sheet tray, and then here's a really satisfying thing. I use this enormous 8-inch cake cutter, and hold on.
Wow.
Push it in.
I'm just always so impressed by just like the amount of stuff Mara has for baking. Like,
Right?
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I'm very much looking forward to tomorrow. So yes, if you want to join us from 2 p.m. tomorrow, pretty much everyone here is coming on at least at some point tomorrow. So I'm very much looking forward to it, and it's going to be a lot of
Zendaya's
fun.
joining us, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Apparently, according to Abby, Zendaya is joining us.
She better be.
Thank you for arranging that, Abby.
Rebecca Ferguson over there.
All right, guys. Until then, yeah, and then obviously we're back with the bracket show on Sunday. We took last week off, but we will be back on Sunday.
Yes.
And after last week's 2 weeks ago's episode, we needed a week off and a bit of a break up before everyone started murdering.
and Tim,
us.
you can't say Halloween Kills is for people that love Halloween 4 through 6 when they obliterated Halloween 4 through 6 with the last Halloween movie. They said they didn't fucking exist. You can't have your cake and eat it too unless you're Mara.
I do agree with that statement.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. And we will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. PST.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Toodles.